This is a continuation of gyroscopic flight instruments. This portion of the lesson goes into detail about the electronic flight display.
Hello again, everybody. Now let's talk about the electronic flight displays. Many different manufacturers are producing electronic flight displays, or sometimes you hear them called glass cockpits. Garmin produces one for the G1000, and what you are probably going to see in your airplane is a PFD, or primary flight display. Now here's a picture of a primary flight display right here. Now remember, in past videos we have talked about the pedostatic system and the gyroscopic system. If you take a good look at this PFD, or primary flight display, you're going to see all three of the pedostatic instruments. On your left, you're going to see the Airspeed Indicator. On your right, you're going to see the Altimeter. And then there's a little box on the Altimeter tape that's going to move up and down. That's going to be the vertical speed indicator. Now, also on the PFD, you're going to see all three of the gyroscopic instruments. Right in the very middle, in front of the pilot's focal viewpoint, is the attitude indicator. Remember, that is the one with the little yellow chevron, and that is the only instrument that gives us two pieces of information at one time. It gives us both pitch and bank simultaneously. In addition to that attitude indicator, you see directly below it the heading indicator. Now, in the case of a PFD, there is no inclinometer ball specifically, but up at the top, where you see that little white arrow, immediately below it is what some pilots call a brick, or sometimes we call it the hockey puck. That is the electronic PFD version of the ball in the inclinometer. Now, the one instrument that's left that's maybe a little bit hidden is that turn coordinator. Remember, the turn coordinator told me my turn in degrees per second? Well, it's on the heading indicator, although we don't see it until the aircraft is rolled into a banked turn. And on the little blow up here, you can see on the heading indicator that little magenta line that starts to come out. That is the PFD alternative to the turn coordinator. When that little magenta line touches the white line, that's a 3 degree per second turn. Now, two other things we want to make you aware of. One is the magnetometer that provides the magnetic heading information to the heading indicator on your PFD. Here's a close-up of an inspection panel underneath of the left wing of a Cessna 172. Now, behind this inspection panel is the magnetometer. This magnetometer is sensing the Earth's flux lines and updating the heading indicator on the PFD so that you continually have the correct magnetic heading. The last thing we wanted to make you aware of is what we call a MEMS gyro, an MEMS, or a MEMS gyro. Now, if you recall, in earlier videos, we talked about the gyroscopic instruments and a spinning gyro that was spun by air being pulled across it. Well, if you take a look at our electronic flight displays, and in our case, the PFD, there is no gyro being spun by vacuum air being pulled across it. Where does this attitude indicator get its attitudinal information? Well, it gets it from a little electronic chip called a MEMS gyro, and you see a blow up of that little chip right here. Now, there's going to be multiple MEMS chips in the various computers that comprise the G1000 flight system. So that's a quick review of the PFD. Now, that just about wraps up this session. Let's end with a review question. Can you name the 3 instruments that are powered by the vacuum system? And that's kind of a trick there, because remember, one of them is electrically powered. So we have 3 gyroscopic instruments. Can you name them? And can you name the one that is powered electrically? Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.